I want you to picture something. You're driving a huge box truck down the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway.
The BQE.
The BQE. So you're already on edge, right?
Right.
It's heavy traffic, the usual New York City nightmare. You're in the right lane, just trying to do your job.
It's a high-stress environment, for
Okay.
sure, for any driver.
Exactly. And then, out of nowhere, this sedan in the middle lane just swerves right in front of you.
No warning.
No blinker, nothing. Cuts the gap down to, like, inches, and then they just slam on the brakes.
Whoa.
To a dead stop. On highway, you hit your brakes, there's smoke, screeching, but I mean, it's physics. Crunch, you rear end them, and you're sitting there just shaking, thinking, my God, I just hit a car full of people, my job, my license, it's all over.
That's a professional driver's worst nightmare.
But here's the twist. While you're having a full-blown panic attack, the people in that car, they are not panicking. Not at all. In fact, they're probably doing the math in their heads because you didn't just have an accident. You were just cast in a play.
A very profitable play. It sounds, like a movie, but this is a very real and very lucrative business. And today we're looking at a huge organized conspiracy.
We are.
We've got a summary judgment order here. It's from the Supreme Court of New York, Suffolk County, dated just this month, January 7, 2026. The case is Integon National Insurance Company v. Alfredo Salazar Ochoa et al.
And that et al. It means, and others, but here it means a lot of others. This is not one bad driver. This is a deep dive into what the court literally calls a ring.
Yeah, we're talking staged crashes, shady clinics, a whole web of lies.
And the big question for this deep dive is, how does an insurance investigator looking at thousands of claims spot the fake one? Because this investigator, a Mr. Block, he found these little threads, these red flags, that unraveled the whole thing.
He really did. But before we get to how they got caught, maybe we should talk about the why. Why is New York such a hotbed for this kind of thing?
Good question.
It's really because New York is a no-fault state. That means if you're in an accident, your own insurance pays your medical bills up to $50,000 per person.
$50,000 per person. So wait, if I get a cheap old sedan and I pack 4 people in it.
You're driving around with $200,000 in potential medical billing.
Wow. That's a huge incentive.
It's a massive incentive. And that's why these rings pop up. Which brings us back to the investigator, Mr. Block.
So the insurance company Integon, they're saying these 8 different crashes are all fake. Where does he even start?
He starts with the patterns. He lays out these 8 incidents that happened between March and July of 2023. And, on their own, they just look like boring rear-end collisions, but side by side.
They start to look suspicious. What's the first thing he notices?
The first flag is demographics. Every single driver and passenger in all 8 of these crashes was from Ecuador.
Okay, we have to be careful there. I mean, that's not proof of anything on its own.
No, absolutely not. Nationality alone means nothing. It's circumstantial. But then he looks at the paperwork, and this is the real aha moment.
Okay.
Every single one of them bought their insurance policy from the exact same broker.
I mean, the same one? In
Yeah.
New York City, there have to be thousands of brokers.
Thousands, and yet they all went to Mancy International LLC. That's when you go from coincidence to coordination.
Okay, that's weird.
It gets weirder. The geography, all the accidents happen in the same general area, usually the Long Island Expressway or the Van Wyck.
So they have a preferred location, a hunting ground?
And a preferred target. In every single case, their car was rear-ended by a big commercial vehicle, a box truck.
Right, back to our intro. Why box trucks?
It's about physics and finance. The physics part is simple. A loaded truck can't stop quickly.
Right.
You're guaranteed to get hit. And the finance part is that commercial trucks have high-limit insurance policies. Deep pockets if you decide to sue.
That is just,
Yeah.
It's predatory. You're using someone's livelihood as a weapon.
It is. And the red flags just keep coming. The timing was really sloppy. All of these crashes happened within 45 days of the policy starting.
So they buy insurance and a month later, crash.
Often before they'd even paid anything beyond the first little deposit. And then here's the kicker. Shortly after the accident, every single policy was canceled.
For what?
Non-payment.
You're kidding me. So they pay the deposit, stage the crash, get a claim number, and then just stop paying the bill.
Exactly. It's a hit and run on the policy itself. Why keep paying for a car you just wrecked on purpose?
It's so brazen. So let me get this straight. You have people from the same place, using the same broker, crashing on the same roads, hitting the same kinds of trucks. Right after getting insurance, they immediately stop paying for.
It's a pattern that's, It's statistically impossible to be just bad luck. It screams conspiracy. But proving that is one thing. You still have to prove the crash itself was staged.
And that gets us to the swoop and squat. It sounds like a ridiculous dance move.
It does, but the reality is terrifying. And we know exactly how it works because they have an affidavit from one of the truck drivers, Tony G. Lean.
What did he say happened?
He's on the BQE, right lane, just driving his truck. He sees a Ford in the middle lane, and he said the people inside were just staring into his cab.
They're sizing him up?
Yeah, making eye contact. Then the Ford just shoots over right in front of him and slams on the brakes to a dead stop.
For no reason?
He said for no rational reason.
Yeah.
No traffic, no nothing. Just stopped. He had no room. He hit them.
So legally, how does that work? Isn't the person in the back almost always at fault for a rear-end collision?
Usually, yes. But that's the key to the whole case. The judge cites this other case, Adirondack v. Rodriguez, which says an intentionally caused collision is not an accident.
Ah, let's unpack that. Insurance covers accidents.
Right. An accident is, by definition, unintentional. You do it on purpose. It's not an accident.
And if it's not an accident?
There's no coverage, even for passengers who might have actually gotten hurt. If the event was staged, the whole insurance contract is basically void.
Wow. So that driver's testimony was the smoking gun. But this whole thing feels too organized for just a bunch of drivers. Someone had to be pulling the strings.
And the investigation found them. 2 facilitators, known as the Morans, Carolina, and Ruth Rodriguez Moran.
The Morans, so what was their job?
They were the masterminds. They didn't have a real car dealership, but they were selling these junker cars, high-mileage cars, to the defendants.
The crash cars.
The crash cars. Disposable. And they didn't just sell the car. They would physically walk them over to the Mancy brokerage to make sure the policy was set up just right.
That's some customer service.
It's fraud service.
Exactly.
And get this. Carolina Moran herself had filed 8 separate accident claims before this.
8, personally.
All rear-end accidents.
Yeah.
All on the LIE or the Van Wyck. She basically beta tested the whole scheme herself.
Unbelievable. But the crash is only step 1. They need to get that medical money.
Right. And that's where the ring really comes together. They didn't go to their local doctor. They were all steered to 2 specific clinics, one in Jackson Heights, one in Glendale.
And I'm guessing they all had very similar injuries.
Similar injuries, identical treatments. And this is where the investigator found the single most damning piece of evidence. He called it the copy-paste fraud.
Oh, I remember this from the notes. This is incredible.
So he's looking at the medical files, specifically referrals for expensive tests like transcranial Dopplers, ultrasounds, that kind of stuff.
Big-ticket items.
Exactly. He finds 5 different referrals from the Glendale clinic for 5 different patients from different crashes, but 4 of them were exact photocopies of each other.
You mean like on a Xerox machine photocopies?
Literally. Same signature from the nurse practitioner, same check boxes for which body parts were heard, same tests ordered. The only thing they changed was the patient's name at the top.
They just used whiteout. They didn't even bother to fill out a new form.
That's what it looks like. It's proof that the treatment wasn't based on an actual medical exam. It was an assembly line for billing.
That's just lazy. If you're going to get a multi-million-dollar fraud, you'd think you'd use fresh paper.
It just shows the sheer volume they were pushing through. But eventually, these people had to talk. They had to go to something called an examination under oath, an EUO.
Which is basically a deposition, right? Under oath.
Exactly. And their stories, well, they just completely fell apart. It was a comedy of errors.
Tell me the McDonald's story again.
Okay, so this is the March 17th crash. You've got the driver, Stefania Bakulama, and her passengers. They get asked separately, where were you going?
Simple question.
Stefania says they picked up one passenger, Ulighty, at a McDonald's, and they were all on their way to another McDonald's to eat.
Okay, maybe they really like the fries.
But then Ulighty testifies and says she had no idea where they were going. But that's not even the best part. The driver, Stefania, says one of the passengers, Denny's, is her cousin.
And is he?
Denny's gets asked the same question, under oath, and says no, he is not her cousin.
How? How do you get that wrong? You're either related or you're not.
It's like they had a script but didn't rehearse it, and it just kept happening.
The guy who bought his car with cash was my favorite.
Ah, yes. Mr. Fajardo Moran. He says he bought his Nissan in the Bronx for $5,000. Cash.
No paperwork, of course.
No papers. But right before he bought that car, he sold his old car, also a Nissan, to a family member.
Well, let me guess. For $5,000.
Exactly $5,000. And the 2 friends in the car with him during the crash. He admitted he didn't know their last names.
This is my good buddy, guy from the car.
It just destroys all credibility. So Integon takes all of this, the photocopies, the patterns, the sworn testimony, and they sue for a declaratory judgment.
What does that mean exactly?
It means instead of fighting hundreds of little lawsuits from all the clinics, they go to the big court and ask for one ruling that says these were all fake.
And what did the judge say?
It was a total knockout. The judge granted summary judgment for Integon, which means the evidence was so overwhelming they didn't even need a trial. The tap is turned off. Integon doesn't have to pay anyone.
Yeah.
Not the drivers, not the passengers, and most importantly, not the medical providers.
Well, what about the clinics? Didn't they argue that they were innocent, that they just treated patients?
They did, but the judge shot that down with a legal idea called stand in the shoes.
Stand in the shoes. Explain that.
When you go to a clinic, you assign your insurance benefits to them. So the clinic stands in your shoes. They get your rights, but no more than your rights.
So if I committed fraud and have no right to any money...
Then your doctor has no right to any money either.
Yeah.
The fraud taints everything that comes after it. The clinics get zero.
That's a huge deal. That's got to be millions of dollars in billing that just vanished.
And the judge was very clear about why. She said, insurance fraud is not a victimless crime.
Right. People think, oh, a big insurance company can afford it.
But we all pay for it. The judge cited a study. The U.S. loses about $308.6 billion a year to insurance fraud.
Dillion, with a B.
With a B. And that money doesn't just disappear. The insurance companies pass that cost directly on to us.
In higher premiums.
In higher premiums. We're all paying a fraud tax on our car insurance because of schemes like this.
It just totally reframes it. You're not just paying for your own risk. You're paying for someone else's scripted performance on the BQE.
Precisely. And this ruling puts it all out there.
Mm-hmm.
It was the small details, the invalid Social Security numbers, the ridiculous story about driving 3 hours for therapy.
The photocopied prescription.
That's the one. That laziness is what blew the lid off the whole thing.
So, after this whole deep dive, what's the one thing you think people should take away from this?
That if you participate in a fraud like this, you lose everything. Those people might have actually been hurt. I mean, getting hit by a box truck is no joke, even if you planned it. But because it was a fraud, they get nothing. No money for treatment, no rehab. They forfeit their entire safety net.
It's a tough lesson. And here's a final thought to leave you with. The source says the ringleaders used invalid Social Security numbers. They were basically ghosts in the system. Which makes you wonder, tomorrow, on your commute, when you see a fender bender.
You start to question what you're really seeing.
Exactly. Are you seeing a real accident? Or are you watching a rehearsal for a lawsuit that you are eventually going to help pay for?
It definitely makes you want to keep your distance from the car in front of you.
Absolutely. Drive safe out there, keep your dash cams on, and we will see you on the next deep dive.
Take care.